Good afternoon. Thanks for joining me. My name is Charmaine and I'm with Alchemy Attitude Artistry. Today's video is on Dutch pouring. I've had many requests from several of you with respect to the acrylic pouring for beginners group, and I thought I'd put together this video and let's get started. I'm going to bring us down to the canvas so you can see what I'm going to do. Thanks. Apologies for the jiggling as I adjust the camera. And hopefully you can see the entire canvas at that angle. I think that's as good as it's going to get for today. So hopefully you can see it all right. Okay, so today's canvas is a 20 by 24 inch canvas. I'm going to put down a flood coat of just Amsterdam titanium white and water. With the Dutch pour, the important thing to remember is that it's just paint and water. And that's the consistency. I don't know if you can see that. That's the consistency of what we want our paint to look like. So that'll be my first paint down. And then we have in our lineup, we have this really pretty blue, if I can get it into the camera angle, which is Atelier's Blue Black Indigo, and that has simply paint and water, and that is the consistency. You see it goes down into the cup and it leaves a trace, but it does not leave a mound. Hopefully you can see that. Next on our list of colors is a combination of two paints to make a really pretty, almost a dove gray color. It's a lighter silver color, and that is Rust-Oleum's Metallic Accents in Real Pewter, which I bought from Home Depot at the suggestion of Cy from Frosted Eye Candy, and then White Pearl, and it's also a metallics, Rust-Oleum Metallics Accents as well. That's the combination for my silver. And then I have another combination color. Much of what I do is custom colors. And I have in here the Rust-Oleum Accents Metallic, and the color is actually soft gold. But to that, I added, if you can see that, that's the consistency of it. To that, I added the Golden Acrylics Quinacridone Nickel Azo Gold, which is an absolutely lovely, lovely paint color. It looks awful in the tube. That's the tube color. But when it blows out into a canvas, it goes with just about any color, and it's absolutely beautiful. Next color in our lineup is the Rust-Oleum again, the metallic, and the color is Classic Bronze. And this is what that color looks like out of the bottle, and that's my consistency again. You see my consistency for all of my paints is about the same. I don't make any thicker than the others. Next in our lineup is this really pretty blue, and I have to admit to you that I am literally just using up paints that were on my table. And that is a combination of TLP's Lakeside, so this little piggy's pigment Lakeside, and Manganese Blue Hue. Makes a really pretty sparkly blue color. And then the next one that is in my lineup, just give it a bit of a mix, is this really pretty, almost plum color, berry color, if you will. And that is a combination color as well, and it is a mixture of the This Little Piggy's Sangria and Artist Lofts Alizarin Crimson Permanent is the name of that one. And just in case I need to extend my colors, I have some of the Amsterdam White here just to kind of brighten up my colors. And that also has just a little bit of the metallics accents in it, the pearl white, just to make it glisten a little bit as well. And that's our color lineup. And I thought what I would do is I'd start with a circle in the center of my canvas and blow it out, just so you can see the technique that I use with my blow dryer to make things happen the way they should. So let's get started. Okay, first is my flood of my white. That's the Amsterdam White and Water, and I'm going to put it all over my canvas. And then I have gloves on today. I usually don't wear gloves, but I have gloves on today just simply because I do like to touch the paint. I actually run my hands along the sides just to coat my canvas, but without belaboring the point, all of you have probably flooded a canvas before, so you don't really need my direction on that, I'm sure. And let's get this onto the canvas, and it's a very thin coat that I'm going to put on here. And I might even just tilt it around a bit just to get it good coverage on my canvas. And if necessary, I'll get my hands in there as well, because I do like to touch the paint. So much so that oftentimes as my paint is drying, I have a tendency to stick my fingers in it. So I do an awful lot of fixing of canvases because I am impatient and I want to touch the canvas to see if it's dry, and invariably it isn't. So there you go. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure that I have a good even coat. It's a thin coat, very thin, very different than a bloom if you've ever done a bloom, because this paint is very watery. And I have a few bubbles in here, but I'm not too worried about it, really. Just gonna tilt that around a little bit, get rid of some of my hand marks on there. See, that paint is still flowing well, so that's good. And then I want to get my ring down. Sorry, I apologize, you're getting the back side of my canvas rather than seeing what I'm actually doing, just camera angle. And I do have some bubbles on my canvas, so I am going to very quickly torch those bubbles to get rid of them before I start to blow. And I think I'm done with my gloves. Give that a bit of a torch. Get rid of those bubbles before we get going. I don't want to stay on my canvas too much with the torch because it'll start to dry out the edges of my paint. Okay, so let's get started. I think I'm going to start with that really pretty, almost dove gray. I'm going to start that in the center of my canvas, approximately the center of my canvas. Get a good amount down. My next up in my lineup is going to be my blue. Hopefully you can see that all right. I've got a fairly large canvas, so what I want to do is I want to make sure that I have enough paint on my canvas in the center, in the circles, to actually blow it out to the far reaches of my canvas. Important to do that. Next up is my bronze, the Real Bronze by Rust-Oleum. Give that a good healthy dollop as well. Next up is my really pretty TLP Lakeside and the manganese blue hue there. I have no idea what these colors are going to look like together. I'm hoping they'll be okay. And I see that my circle is kind of going wonky, and that's because I have a stretcher bar in the middle of my canvas because it's such a large canvas. So hopefully that won't throw things off too much either. Put a little bit of my white in there in the center. I think I'm going to come back in with my really pretty navy blue, that Blue Black by Indigo. Put that on the top. Maybe just a little bit more red. That's my alizarin crimson. Okay, now that we have that done, I am going to, apologies for the shaking of the camera, get my blow dryer and let's get started. Okay. Maybe try and bring my my circle back to center just a wee bit. Starting at center gives me a better blowout. Okay. The blow dryer that I use is a Berta. I bought it off of Amazon. I'm going to go high fan and my cool setting as well. And I like to hold my blow dryer upside down so that I can hold my cool shot. And because the cool shot doesn't stay on in this particular blow dryer, I actually have to hold it. So it's just easier for me to do it this way. And my motion is going to be like that, come in close to my paint and then move out. And then I'm also going to wiggle it a little bit as well. So apologies for the noise of the what is this thing called again? Oh yeah, blow dryer. Apologies, because it is loud. Well, that was fun. I have an awful lot of red in my center, but that's okay. I think I kind of like that crimson in the center. I don't have a whole lot of cells, but I may be able to produce some cells with my torch afterwards. I'm not so happy about I think the the bronze was a little bit too dark, so I have some brown streaking in it, but that's okay. Actually, I think it didn't turn out too badly. What I can do at this point is do some modifications of some areas that I'm not so happy with. But I did just notice that I actually have something in my paint, so I'm just going to pluck that out with a pair of tweezers. If I can get it. Got it. Okay, it was a bit of a gooby. We'll get rid of that. But for the most part, I think I'm pretty happy with that result. Let's see. What do I want to modify? Do I want to modify anything? Well, let's torch it and see if I can get some more cells. And see if I can get some paint colors to pop up through my other colors. I do have some cell action happening around the center here. And that's a reaction of the different types of paints that I've used. Different paints behave differently with one another. And I don't seem to be getting any cell action going on, so I'm going to leave that. Nope, nothing. My center is very, very, very red, but it's not too bad. And I'm just going to take my toothpick and do a bit of a swirl in a couple of areas just to incorporate some of the other colors and give it a little bit of interest. Wherever I see that I want to change things. I'm not going to change too much though, in all honesty. I'm quite happy with it. Didn't turn out too badly. There is one little corner over here that doesn't seem to have a whole lot of paint on it. So I'm actually going to take a plastic spoon, scoop up some of the paint that I have on my table here, and just add it on the corner a little bit. I'm just literally dragging my spoon down the canvas. And I have another area that I see is missing a little bit of paint, so I'm going to get as close to a match as I possibly can there and just drag it down my canvas as well. From the angle that I'm at right now, I really can't see that other side of the canvas. But I'm going to check my corners and add where I think it's necessary for me to do so. I don't like to have blank corners, and unfortunately, as the paint flows over the canvas, it invariably ends up leaving many of the corners uncovered without any of the paint. So I'm just grabbing some paint that looks like it might be close to the color that I have over in that area and adding it to get some coverage. And then I'm going to peek move my table, peek around the corner and see if I've got some good coverage on that side. That seems okay. It's not crazy covered, but that's okay. It doesn't need to be all completely covered. And I have more uncovered corners here. So I'm going to just run my spoon down, trying to get some coverage there as well. So at least my canvas is covered in that respect. And I'm just looking for any areas where I don't have appropriate coverage. And then I can scoop up some of my paint, running my spoon along the edge or the bottom of the canvas and just literally touching up where I missed, what I missed. And I am completely blind to that side of the canvas, so I am just scooping up some extra paint and scraping my bottoms, as they say. Scraping my bottoms so that the design that I have on my canvas is not being pulled down as it starts to flow over the side and dry. Scraping it will stop the flow a little bit better. And that's my technique for a Dutch pour. Now, I don't do what Rinske Downe does, which is to take my paint and blow it first over my paint colors. I don't do that because I found I wasn't very successful at it. So I don't do that at all. I know that there are many that do that process that Rinske Downe does, but I've never had a lot of success with it. So I actually don't bother, and I can still do a Dutch pour without doing that. I'm just gonna check that I've got coverage all along the back side of my canvas and that my paint flowed down where I wanted it to. And I think I have good coverage, so that's it. It's as simple as that. A Dutch pour does not have to be difficult. The important message in this video is that the paint has to be very thin, about 35 to 50% water for the amount of paint that you have mixed. I don't measure. I'm going by the eye and going by the feel kind of girl. And so hopefully that has helped you. Good coverage on your flood coat, and then enough paint so that you can blow out and get the entire canvas covered. As you saw, I had a lot of paint down there, but I was able to reach all of my edges, except for my corners, and have it flow over the side of my canvas. So that's it for today. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you find this helpful. I did this today because people asked me to. And I'm going to take you up and take you over the canvas so you can see what I've got. So as you can see right in the center there, I have some small cells. I don't have a lot, but that is the entire canvas covered and great colors. So hopefully that helps you. Thanks for joining. Bye now.